So we're going to talk about the coin magazine and the coin dispenser a little bit here. And one thing that we want to do to the coin magazine, for sure, no matter what, is take a little bit of sandpaper, and I just want to, if you hold the magazine with the hooks facing to the right like this is the front of the magazine and this is the back, and the lid is going to slide back and forth under it here. So what I like to do is take a little bit of sandpaper and just knock these edges off of the front and rear of the feet. And so that's as simple as putting the magazine down lightly on the sandpaper, tilt it up to about 45 degrees, and just give it a couple of strokes, maybe a half dozen. And that's really all that's required. You can do a little more if you like. But this technique can go a long way to helping us out with smooth operation of the machine. So after I've done the front of the magazine, I'll just spin it around and do the same. Place it down sort of gently on the sandpaper, tilt it up to about 45 degrees. This doesn't really matter how close you are to 45 degrees, as long as you can tilt it up a bit. And then just drag it along the sandpaper to just take the square edge off of the feet, and that will help the sliding lid travel a little more smoothly underneath this. What we're essentially doing here is just deburring, just in case the laser cut process ended up putting a little bit of a burr on those coin magazine feet. So after that, now that we have made the one mandatory change to the coin magazine, we can discuss some changes we may have to make in the interest of smooth operation. So we'll talk about that now. It won't be long now before we install our sliding lid into our machine, and while it's designed to be removed, it's a little bit of work to get it back out. So before we install it, there's a test that is good to do. As you can see here, I actually have a genuine clear lid and a genuine clear coin magazine. These parts should look exactly like yours, versus the frosted, sanded parts that I've been using for my clear parts, just to make sure they show up on camera better. But the reason I want to do this with these parts is because the plain acrylic is actually quite a bit slipperier than the sanded stuff that I use for the purposes of the build video, and that can affect that little bit of friction can actually affect things a little bit. So what I want to show you how to do here is test your coin magazine and your coin pushers, which are on the lid here, for a proper feed. So I'm going to load me some coins in here, some quarters, US quarters in this case. Those are the coins that I use. So when the machine is in operation, the lid will slide forward and back, but the coin magazine, which is normal position, is right about here inside the machine. The coin magazine stays in place and the lid slides back and forth under it. And that is how we dispense coins. So to test the function of this without actually having to install everything in the machine, I can simply just slide the coin magazine back and forth on the sliding lid. So I'm just going to hold the lid here and move the magazine forward and then back, and see that it dispenses a coin, which it seems to do with no problem there. And so I'll just keep doing this and make sure that my coin magazine can dispense down to the very last coin. Just like that. So this is the situation that I think that most of you will experience, and that is that when you build this, it just works. The thing is there's only about 1 millimeter of tolerance here in these parts, and we've tried to design things so that we don't have a lot of dependency on the actual size of the material, because I don't know how familiar you are with cast acrylic, but this material is meant to be 3 millimeters thick, but you can sometimes get pieces that are thicker or thinner than that. And so if that happens, the part that we're concerned with here is the feet. So if the acrylic comes in thicker than we expect, the magazine is going to stand taller off of the lid than we expect. And if the acrylic comes in thin, the magazine is going to be lower on the sliding lid than we expect. So if you were to experience some acrylic that is thicker than normal, you might find that when you do your coin magazine test by sliding this forward and back, that you don't dispense a coin at all. And the reason for that is that the extra thick acrylic here on the feet has raised the coin magazine up so high that these front edges of the coin pushers can't catch the first coin in the magazine. If you find yourself in that situation, the solution is to sand these feet down until you've reduced the height enough that a coin can actually be dispensed. And so the way that I usually do that is just take some of my sandpaper. This is a used piece, but take some sandpaper, put a little bit of water on it, and just scrub the coin magazine back and forth like this. So these hooks here to my right side, and just go with the direction of the feet, and try maybe 12 to 20 strokes at a time, and then wipe the bottom, and then try again. And just keep making that sanding adjustment until you finally get to the point where your magazine will properly dispense a coin like that. Again, these are kind of the outlier case for the most part. Most of the time the acrylic will come in close enough to the size, the specified size, that this won't be an issue. But there's times when it is an issue. And so again, if you find that your coin magazine simply can't dispense a coin, then you'll need to reduce the height of these feet by sanding them. The other problem that is possible is that this acrylic would be too thin, and what you would find then, at least when you have more than one coin in the magazine, is that when you push forward like this and then try to come backwards and dispense the coin, the magazine stops. And the reason for that in this case is that the coin pushers here are actually grabbing the edge of both coins and trying to move them out the slot at the front. But the slot at the front only admits one coin. So if two are being pushed toward it at the same time, it'll refuse to move. So in that case, the solution, there's two possible solutions to that case. The first is you could sand down these coin pushers a little bit, and you really only need to sand this part here, this tiny flat part at the front. And by that I mean you would want to just take your sandpaper and scrub it back and forth on those, or this way, and you'll want to reduce those and then keep trying to dispense coins until you can get only one coin to come out and get past your jam. The other thing you could do is you could build up the height of these feet by applying something to the bottom, some kind of tape. That solution is probably not the best one, because if you were to try to use duct tape for that, I think you would find that there'd be a little more friction in the system than you would want, because the vinyl jacket of the duct tape potentially wouldn't slide as well across this acrylic as the actual acrylic itself would. And any other tapes you might use, you might end up having to apply several layers of tape to get the thickness you want. This is a part of the machine that's out in the weather, the lid is. And so your tape that you would apply to the bottom of these feet would almost certainly end up getting wet at some point, and probably begin to peel or roll off, possibly even jamming the machine. So if you do have the problem where when you tried to use the coin magazine with two coins and it comes to a stop here and you simply can't move it backwards, then you have to do one of those two things. My suggestion to you is that you reduce the height of the coin pushers. And again, that is not a flaw in the design. It'll end up being just an unlucky variation in the nominal thickness of this acrylic material. And my hope is that no one has to make either of those changes, because I'd like to see your machine work just as it's supposed to as built. But sometimes the acrylic manufacturing process isn't as kind to us as we'd like. So it's worth knowing those things we just talked about. But I hope you don't have to use any of the techniques that I described for fixing that. But at least they're recorded here just in case you do have those problems. And I just want you to know that there are solutions available. Now, as we talk about those remedies, I guess I'll just demonstrate one more time that this setup functions really well. Just dispensing my coins with no problems. Just like that. That's great. I happen to know that the other sliding lid and coin magazine that I've built as part of preparing this video, I know that that one has a slight problem. So I'm going to demonstrate to you this same test done with those parts and discuss the dispensing problem that I'm seeing, and then talk more about the exact same remedies that we just discussed. This last coin here doesn't seem to like to come out very well. Just like that. So you get a weird jam. So the problem is, and you can see the problem if you look on this side, the coin pushers are not behind the coin, they're under it. See, the coin should be like this, with the coin pushers pushing it by its edge. So the solution to this is, as with other things we've fixed with respect to thickness, is sanding. So what I'm going to do is get some sandpaper here and cut off a bit. And work on sanding these feet down just a little bit. I'm going to get a little bit of water here, just so I don't make a mess. And then, oh, that's too much water. I use a cloth-backed sandpaper just so it holds up a little bit better in the water, but it was already in my shop, so I didn't go out and buy it. So, you know, if you have plain sandpaper, you may have to change it out a bit, but it's not going to be a big problem for you. So I'm just going to take my coin magazine and get it in that little bit of water. So as you can see, I keep my hooks to the right here, or the left, whichever, but then I'm just going to walk this back and forth on the sandpaper, left to right, left to right, left to right. And I'm looking to reduce the thickness of those feet. I should point out, I'm not gripping this very hard, the part itself, because I don't want to break it. So I'm trying to take it a little bit easy on the part. And I'm just going to go back and forth here until I feel I've had a chance to remove a decent amount of that material. And I'm going to test this frequently. So I'll move that sandpaper aside, dry off that bottom, and then I'm going to try again with just one coin until I've gotten rid of that problem that gives me difficulty dispensing the last coin. And I'm almost there. The thing that we just saw there, where the coin got pulled like that, that coin should not get lifted up on top of those pushers. So that means more sanding. So I'm just going to keep at it here until I've reduced that enough. And it can take a while, a surprising amount of time to remove, you know, even a 0.5 millimeter of material from this. So this portion of the process benefits from some patience, but also don't get carried away with the sanding. Make sure you test frequently, because you want to stop as soon as you're done. So I'll put my one coin in there, come backwards and see how I'm doing on dispensing. I'm pretty happy. Alright, so I think we might be done with mine. So now I'm sure that my coin magazine is going to be able to dispense that last coin without it getting stuck above the coin pushers. So I know that my coin magazine is tuned the way I want it now, in terms of how thick these feet are. And I can go forward the rest of my installation happily.